Open loops. Do, do. Open loops. Open loops. Open loops. Open loops. You must listen to the open loops, a theme park for absurd beliefs and systems of integration between the mind and the creative spirit. Open loops.
Hello, everybody. Loopers, what's going on? Greg Bornstein, your consciousness disruptor here. Loopers, tangentials, people who are just plain unable to focus on anything for too long. Unless it's super weird. You're in the right place. Welcome to Open Loops, conversations that bend with me, Greg Bornstein. Now, if you are a longtime fan of this show, you know I used to come out at the beginning and say a few words before the guest, maybe talk about the state of the paranormal or hypnosis or whatever rabbit hole I had been occupying recently and sharing that with you. And this episode, I wanted to return to form for a little bit because I thought it was important. The interview today we have with George Mitrovich, awesome guy. This is a guy who, a guy who's very much, in addition to just somebody that I believe has overcome lots of adversity, I feel like he is underrepresented in the field of anomalous research. Not enough people have heard of him. I brought his name up a lot on this show, because his theory about sine waves and the way that different energy vortices converge around physically observable paranormal phenomenon is, well, I won't spoil that now, but let me just say this guy he's done the work. He's very much done the work. And I had to have him on again just because he's very fun to talk to, but I really don't think there's enough that can be talked about with this theory until we've done more research on it, until somebody has taken this seriously. Especially now that we have this great set of AI tools that people are wasting time doing, semi-erotic candy cane photos with in the, 55 plus demographic. Look, I don't know what my Facebook algorithm is suggesting to me these days, but there seems to be a lot of there's a lot of thirst traps on Facebook. I've noticed. I have the full range. I have people of all different ages, though I will say Facebook tends to skew millennial and up, and certainly in the up demographics, talking 50 plus, noticed a lot of desire to be seen as young, vivacious, and how can I put this? An object. Especially by your peers these days, now that everybody has access to a camera. Look, when I was growing up in the 90s, if you were past 45 years old, you cared about just kind of raising a family and maybe looking nice, but not just looking uh, like someone's meal. Whew, okay. That is a very weird side rant to go on in light of where I'm about to go in this episode. But you know what? Let's raise it up in strange before we get even uh, more serious for a second. More serious. Um, the reason I came on today before George Mitrovich, um, who he doesn't need to pose like a with a sexy candy cane to get my attention, George. It's about the work. It's about the work. Now, in all seriousness, look, the reason I came on today, and I will get into let's get into somewhat of a serious portion now, is to talk about the death of somebody in the alternative and fringe community. That was a big wig. And actually, so much so that I felt the need to say something because this guy made an impact on me. His name is David Wilcock. Now, David Wilcock is also someone I've brought up a few times on this show. And he's very notorious, I would say. So it's easy. Look, it's always easy to punch up. In general, it's easier. I prefer punching up than punching down in general. It's not the nicest thing to do to make fun of those that aren't as those that are lower than you. And I'm not even saying. Also, in general, I don't really the whole idea of hierarchy and superiority and all this stuff. I kind of. I mean, it's not something that in general I subscribe to. I think there's a lot of. I think we're all on the same plane, man. We have labels and ways of categorizing and ranking people, and I do think, sure, maybe Jordan Peterson would tell me that there are hierarchies in nature, but in general, in terms of the way I look at the world, I think there are the forms of rank that have been structured by society that we can play within for the sake of playing the game. But in general, I want to go into every interaction with every living being and start from a place of equal ground, ideally, and maybe even stay there. It's idealistic, I know, but if we're going to talk about idealism and we're going to talk about beautiful visions of humanity and awakening, I think it's very appropriate because this big wig that just passed away, David Wilcock, he was somebody that advocated for a world that woke up in this way. I mean, I don't normally come on and do these. I think the last time I did this was for Olivia Newton-John, which is interesting. David Wilcock, also a beautiful blonde hair. David Wilcock, I don't even know what to say except he was on Ancient Aliens a lot. He was a big name on that channel, Gaia TV. I don't know if you've heard of it, but it's a paid subscription network where they show tons of conspiracy documentaries and UFO and time travel and secret space program. He had a show called Cosmic Disclosure where he brought on this secret space program insider named Corey Good and did a lot of extensive interviews with him among many other people. I don't really know too much about why Wilcock came to the prominence, but I know enough to tell you that when I was starting to dabble in an intrigue at the events of 2012, Wilcock popped up. What was it? December 21st, 2012. Supposedly the world was going to shift. Now, I read a book at the time that really opened my mind to a different view of life because I was very atheist and materialist, and not atheist, but agnostic, leaning towards atheism, scientific method, all this stuff. And I read the book, 2012, by Daniel Pinchbeck, who's still around. He's out there. He's still out there. And he's out there. And Daniel Pinchbeck talks a lot about how, or at least in that book, was claiming that 2012 was going to be a return. It was a year that cosmically, he had gathered a bunch of evidence that suggested that cosmically we were going to return to more mythological leanings as people. We'd gone too far in the technological, gone too far in the materialist, and as evidenced by Burning Man and a lot of other interest in psychedelics and just kind of more popularization. Remember, this is I forget when the book was written, but in that 2010, 2009, yeah, I think actually it was probably out then. Probably like that 2008 to 2011 trajectory. It was a different time than now. This podcast, the fact that you're listening to this podcast, you may not, this would be in some dark hole of the internet back then. But this is now much more part of the conversation, and maybe in a way Pinchbeck was right in the fact that we are taking these things more seriously. With Epstein stuff coming out, this is alerting us to a reality that used to be on the fringe and now is the daily conversation. What's happening in the world of weirdness with politics, every day being weird, what if that's some kind of cosmic sign? And again, it's coming from an agnostic here, that reality was always strange. There wasn't this idea that we were trying to make it normal was the problem, because everything is so erratic and disjointed and chaotic that chaos is the default state. And once we see through that, then we can break back into our magical leanings, who we were before, ritualistic, spiritual, able to connect to some deeper meaning than these surface things that we're trying to put in order, but we find just keep breaking. Everything keeps breaking. Let me tell you something. David Wilcock was somebody that was on the scene in 2012. And what he was talking about, I went to his way. I think it was a YouTube video. I remember being in my basement apartment in Park Slope and watching David Wilcock videos and being like, who is this guy? Oh, this guy who claims he's the reincarnation of Edgar Cayce. Then he puts pictures up and shows his face next to Edgar Cayce, and you go, all right, this is a little humble. Yeah, I mean, this is not some just guy like, hey, nice to meet you. I need to prove myself. No, I need for you to meet me on this video. I'm Edgar Cayce. Okay, whatever. But this is the thing. I'm open minded, so I want to see what's the argument. Give me the argument. Why are you Edgar Cayce? And then, of course, we move past that into the 2012 stuff. And my gosh, such an interesting. I mean, this is how these people can get you when very hooked on their ideas because in general, and I mean these people, I say it, I don't mean to sound derogatory, but when I say these people, I mean like the great, like the Alex Joneses and the David Ikes and the David Wilcocks, people that are just drawing from different sources and just throwing a lot at you at once. Some things legit, some things not legit. And making you go, whoa, I need answers. I think the thing I remember the most from the first David Wilcock talk, and I think it was about 2012. I mean, this is what drew me in because I was starting to research Pinchbeck's ideas and see if there were more people talking about 2012 and what was supposed to happen. Wilcock did a piece on the pineal gland. What is this? This is the thing between your eyes, the third eye, the thing that emits your mind's eye, your imagination, the water. I shouldn't say water. The liquid of dreams. Literally between your eyes. I mean, it's in the spot of where your third eye is when you go to sleep. The pineal gland is activated. It is tuning into something that brings you into the dream state. Look, I'm not going to get into the science of it now, but the point is he was explaining the way that this gland between our eyes is the source of seeing visions, of imagination, of our dreams. I didn't know this back then. I mean, I know this sounds very basic, but when I heard Wilcock talk about it for the first time, I was so intrigued that there was actually a gland for this. And then he starts pointing out how everybody knows secret societies worship this gland because they know it's the pineal is the most powerful. This is the source of our power, our imagination. And then he shows the Pope carrying a staff with a pine cone at the top of it, and in different areas of the Vatican where you can see the pine design built into the architecture. Other sites around the world where the pine cone is, because it is, I believe this gland is shaped kind of like a pine cone, is there, and this is the way that the elites show their dedication to or at least their understanding of the power of this. They don't want you to know too much about it, though, because they're trying to suppress it, right? That's what fluoride does, supposedly. When you take fluoride, it stops your ability to dream. That's why they shut down LSD studies, because it's connected to that part of you that where the power to build something new, to create the pineal gland is. Who knows? Wilcock said it back then. It opened my mind to even learning what this pineal gland is, and it made me really start to look for more symbols in the world. Now, I'm not saying Wilcock's right, but I will say he did get me to think differently about reality. And that is awesome. Now, how did this evolve? I mean, I'm pretty sure the end of that lecture, oh my gosh, I think he goes from the pineal gland to talking about Project Looking Glass, which he was a big talker about. Secret project that involved time travel technology that CERN had a version of, and the U.S. government had access to it. Basically, they could see all timelines at the same time. David Wilcock always had these insiders that he spoke with that gave him this information. They could see all the timelines. They had technology that was able to view the past, future, present, and when they say present, who cares? I don't need a device to view the present. But yes, you could see all possible timelines, and basically he said that 2012 was a time when it was a blank slate, which meant that humans had the ability at this point to tap into. He almost, I believe, and again, I'm going to misquote this man. I believe the idea being that the universe was going to a point where it would be as full of potential as everyone's collective pineal glands would be at night. Notice, and I'm saying pineal. Some people say pineal, but I think that's a little vulgar. So I'm going with pineal in my pronunciation. So yeah, the idea being that it was the universe's pineal gland, which meant at 2012, since we are one consciousness, he also was making that point in his lecture, using various different spiritual studies. And I remember reading his book. He had a whole section about pyramid power. I mean, this guy, any single esoteric study ever, he was able to compile. I did read his 2012 book, and it was very engaging reading. My gosh. But again, I didn't do the research to verify all his claims. I know that often people like this, David Icke, Wilcock, they mix and match science with spiritual claims and whatnot. But the book was great. The book was really readable. And the idea being that because 2012 was this inflection point, we all had the power to manifest the future that we wanted at this point. Did 2012 turn into anything December 21st, 2012? I'm not sure. Still debatable. Some people say, oh, well, they actually meant 2020. The clock was off for the Mayans. Okay, interesting. But that became a recurring theme in general as I started going deeper into David's work. See, here's the thing. What's interesting about David's death is how many people have come forward that I believed up until his death were crapping on him. From what I've seen in social media, voices that were, and I don't mean deliberately crapping, but maybe, oh yes, actually, you'd bring up David Wilcock. Oh, well, I saw David Wilcock because he would do these. I mean, at least even a few days ago, he did a live stream that was 3+ hours long, and kind of like this podcast episode. This is my tribute to David. Just long talking about all this stuff for as long as humanly possible, and then throwing like a whole podcast at you. That's very David Wilcock thing to do. He did these 3+ hour streams. It was crazy. But David was very interesting when it came to, how should I put this? He started making claims about dates. He started taking on some of the ideology of QAnon, and he started talking about the Q drops a lot in 2020. And at the time, I didn't know. I mean, look, here's the thing. He's a prominent voice in the spiritual and alternative beliefs fringe community, right? This guy's out there. So I started watching this stuff just to see what his take was. It was all very compelling. The problem is that a lot of the predictions he made in dates, nothing actually happened. And I think this is a problem for people that decide to go into the prediction racket. You lose a lot of credibility when every single thing you say comes from an insider doesn't come true. Maybe he made a few calls. I don't even think so, though. I mean, he made enough bad calls while trying to sell a very expensive membership that he had that, unfortunately, I think as David became more popular, that became his downfall. His popularity and his staying in business. I mean, this is the issue with Tony Robbins, too, right? I mean, Tony Robbins, great NLP coach, really successful, but now he's definitely a charlatan because he's as successful as he is. David kind of had that success problem, but also, from what I've been reading and reflecting on, I do think there were a lot of connections to hoaxes, mistruths. Corey Goode, who's Secret Space Program insider, has come forward in court and said publicly under oath that he made up everything. And David Wilcock was this guy's greatest proponent. Um, it's hard to know what's real with David. And what I was going to say is that a lot of the people on Facebook now and Instagram and X and who all these places where they're really talking about him and are paying a tribute to him. These are people that were calling him controlled opposition. That was a big narrative. People were just saying this guy is a liar. This guy is a con artist. I mean, Wilcock, I think, and the bigger he became, the more publicly he was painted as being less of an authority. And now a lot of people who were either quiet about it or at least I vaguely recall associating with, maybe they never called him these things explicitly, but they were quiet. As the criticisms peaked, I did not hear a lot of people publicly saying, Wilcock this, Wilcock that, Wilcock this, because I think of the criticisms, now that he's passed, there's a lot of tributes to him and a lot of meaningful messages. And I think one of the reasons is, unfortunately, David took his own life, is at least my understanding of the situation. And police saw him outside. It was in Colorado. There was a weapon in his hand. They were trying to talk him down. I don't know the full circumstances, but that's a horrible thing to happen. I really wish suicide wasn't as prevalent as it is. It's one of it bums me out all the time. When I hear about it in general, So it sucks. It sucks because maybe this guy wasn't necessarily always 100% on target, but he certainly drew me in with his beliefs. Certainly at least drew me to start to question things more. Certainly had a way of telling you about alternative ideas that has stayed with me still, and made enough of a name. I mean, I don't think people would know, or at least know as much about UFOs and disclosure and the secret space program and ancient aliens if it weren't for the power of leading voices like David Wilcock. Does that mean he's a saint? I'm not sure. I had somebody that I remember talking to someone and they said, I don't like the way he yelled at his wife during one of the live streams. It suggested his character was off. I guess he yelled something at her because she couldn't get the slides up in time or something. And look, I'm not going to hold that stuff against him. Okay? People are humans. People are flawed. I think in general, overall, I think from what I can gather that this guy really was a beam of light. And even though he was in business, he wanted to make money and preserve his lifestyle. It seems that the overwhelming feedback is that he was a good person, that he wasn't, actively trying to bring anyone down behind the scenes or destroy lives. But again, the problem with Wilcock and the problem with all these people is, what source do you trust? What do you trust in this community? Wilcock is a great example here of discernment and how much of it is possible when you're in a world of ideas that aren't normally shared, and the novelty of them being shared so ubiquitously, so popular was Wilcock's YouTube channel and presence, that at a certain point, the idea that this guy was out there became, in my opinion, more important than the things he got wrong. I'm going to say this, though. I think overall, I enjoyed David's presence. I liked that he did exist in this world that doesn't often have different voices, and I'm very sad that whatever happened, mental illness. I know people are throwing, someone. This is the problem with the conspiracy world, right? Somebody dies suddenly, and all of a sudden, it could be anything. It could be anything. But I'm going to take it at face value and say that if the stories are correct, man ends his own life, whatever mental or emotional dysfunction is happening there. I'm sorry it had to happen to him. And I never met David Wilcock. From what people are saying, from the few times people have met him, apparently, yeah, really good guy, really nice guy. And, I'm not an authority on this man at all. I just felt compelled to say something because he's somebody that really challenged my existing belief systems. And by sharing radically unique ideas. He was a true guerrilla ontologist in the way Robert Anton Wilson meant it, in the way that I want this show to be an exemplar of it, synthesizing different fields, different research, and he will always have a warm spot in my heart, despite the complexity, because of just being bold enough to take the leadership to put out different alternative ideas when nobody else was. Ideas that, will normally get people in trouble. I am a fan of that kind of free speech and exercising it. So, thank you, David, for putting yourself out there in this way and sharing these things. And I'm sorry for everything that you personally had to go through to get you to this point. But I think if you want to check out the work of David Wilcock, it's all over the place. I believe, what is it? I think Majestic Disclosure is the one that was on Hulu for a while. Yeah, the movies were just, his stuff was very interesting. Some of the movies put out there, just so interesting. Again, not everything is accurate. Some of the people that he dealt with were absolutely criminals, con artists, people that claim they had experience that weren't. But that does not, I'm not going to say everybody on this show is telling the truth the full time. Let me put it that way. I wish I could say that. I wish I could say it. It's about ideas. It's about different ideas and challenging ideas and seeing what's legit and what isn't. So, I do hope, David, he's resting in peace. And I just want to thank you for opening some loops for me. All right. That said, now, if we're going to talk prolific output, backed up by evidence, this is the guest. Keep your headphones on, because you will have a different understanding of the paranormal and in all kinds of anomalies after this episode. This is a man whose work deserves to be studied. I didn't just use the Michael Jackson title for nothing. I mean, this is... we gotta really look at George's work here. George Mitrovich. I'll let the episode speak for itself, because I've spoken too much. Enjoy. Today on Open Loops, we have a returning champion, George Mitrovich. I pronounce it correctly. Yes, this guy I had him on way back, and I always love my conversations with him. He's one of my best friends on social media, I would say. Always a supporter of the stuff. I always love supporting his stuff, and he supports mine, so I'm very grateful for that. But why? Why is George in our lives today? Well, he is an internationally published author with over 130 books on Amazon, and it might even be more. And they're all about anomalies, all about the paranormal, monsters, encounters with UFOs. I mean, he has a book. And these books are not small books, by the way, unless there's not the incidents for them. We're sometimes talking up to 800 pages of, if you want to know every Bigfoot sighting in Oklahoma, he's got the book on it, and he keeps churning them out. Also, one of the most referenced people I talk about, and we can get into that in a second, but I bring you up often, George, especially your work on exploring energy centers of the earth and shifting phenomena based on where the energy is concentrated. Again, we'll get into that. But George, thank you so much for coming back on the show.
Thank you, Greg. It's lovely to have me back on again.
See, this guy's one of the most fun people I have on the shows too. Very, very wicked sense of humor. I appreciate it. George, I mean, are there enough anomalous incidents for you to keep going, or do you think you're going to run out anytime soon?
No, there are always enough, but I only use published sources, so it sort of limits it. As I said to somebody who argued with me on Facebook a few months ago, you haven't actually gone out and seen a Bigfoot. And I said, and your sighting is totally worthless and useless unless I publish it somewhere. Because then we can't find the knowledge of it and we can't find the patterns to it.
Right. Yeah, why can't
I am
you?
a researcher. I'm not an observer.
So you have never had any paranormal experience whatsoever?
Oh, yes.
Oh, you have?
Oh, yes. A few, which I'm still debating on whether they actually occurred or didn't occur or I was hallucinating or what. But they stayed around long enough in my memory to make me believe that they're still real.
What's one of the more compelling ones? Let's hear it.
Okay. Visualize this. I grew up in a remote property in a place called North Wagga in Australia. I am in Australia. It was just a big old weatherboard shack house on a property. I had my own bedroom. It had a big pair of French doors leading out to the backyard. And one morning I decided to get up. Something called me outside. I was about 8. And I went out and the sky was blazing red. And yes, I did have a degree of trepidation, but I also have my own unnerving curiosity. And then this little creature came wandering up to me. And it was actually my height because I was only 8 then. I was only 4'9".
Yeah.
Which I suppose is a bit tall for an 8-year-old, but that's all right. I was built like a greyhound. And it came up and looked at me. I had big eyes, grey, saggy skin. It was my height. And then I can't remember anything except waking up in the morning. And until I was in my mid-20s, 30s, I would not go outside in the dark at night.
Hmm.
If I had to even go next door, I would take a cab or drive, but I would not walk. Now I'm all right. I live in a closed, gated community, so it's relatively safe to go out and walk.
Yeah.
I might only walk across the road to get the garbage bin on Sunday and then come back in here, which is a bit slack, but
Yeah. That is interesting. Let me ask you this. If we were to take some of the work that you've done in terms of And again, I know this might be a little reductive, but as I said, I at least try to explain this to people that have talked about time travel and sightings and cryptids. I bring you up on this show all the time because I go, have you ever spoken to George Mitrovich? Yes, look at this. Now he's showing me the chart right now. This is the idea that the energy that there is like vortex energy around certain areas where that resonate with the actual phenomenon emerging at the same time, and they're shifting. You've charted where the energy concentration or the phenomena shifts, like a concentrated area, like tons of UFO sightings around this particular area of the world.
UFOs, Bigfoot, Virgin Marys, you name it. But
Yeah.
what gets me in trouble with everybody is leyline people hate me, geomantic people hate me. Most people actually hate me, but I don't care. They're stupid. But these
What?
energy points are based on sine waves, which are mathematical, which are repetitive. This rough drawing is from 1800 to 1977
Mm-hmm.
of every single multiple witnessed phenomenon or witnessed phenomenon with physical traces, which narrows them down a bit, but there's still probably 10,000 there. And they form parts of repetitive sine waves of energy that travel across our planet and indeed through the multiverse and the universe. The mathematics are working out exactly where they stop and can be predicted because if it's a sine wave, it's a frequency. We're
Yes.
not talking about energy, we're talking a collision of harmonics.
Hmm.
And the vibrations from the harmonics cause the openings to other dimensions. Also, what's more interesting is, let's say we're going for our lovely, I put that down, my arm's getting sore. I'm not as young as I used to be.
Okay.
We have two views of reality. I'll be quick with them. Randy and Andy, they've maybe had a few beers, they might. If it's 2 o'clock in the morning, they're driving in the scrub or the forest or the bush, say in Oregon or Northern California or Washington or even in Maryland. There are equal number of Bigfoot sightings on the East Coast as there are on the West Coast. My graphs have already worked that out. They're driving along, and Randy says to Andy, I really need to go have a leak. Or
Okay.
relieve myself, as the American euphemism is. In Australia, it's just going to have a piss on the side of the road. And they go onto the side of the road, and it feels good, and it's great, and the moon's full. And I just put that in for dramatic extra. Next second, something is throwing rocks, sticks, clods, screaming and jumping up and down. And it's big and it's hairy and it stinks to high heaven. And it's often got blazing red eyes. And everyone goes, it's a supernatural event. No, it's a big anthropoid ape. And it's really pissed off somebody's marking their territory.
Yes.
But it's too simple a solution. Can't have that. I'm a very Occam's razor type of person. Reduce everything to its basic denominators and see if that fits the description. It has to be simple or it isn't operational. And yet I don't deny that there are things beyond consciousness. And that's where we go to the second one. Randy and Andy are driving through the bush, the forest. They stop, they're relieving themselves, as in the manner of young men who probably had a few beers and they're gone for a drive. And the beast comes back and it's screaming and yelling and jumping up and down and throwing clods. Is it there? Or have they come upon one of these sine waves interacting with another dozen or so sine waves at different lengths, which is times. Time and distance is all that matters to a sine wave, nothing else. It constantly moves in a snake configuration through time. Could it be, as in the case of people seeing the Virgin Mary in a tree or a cave, and lots of that has been reported? The Catholics have built some of the biggest basilicas around kids seeing these things. Could it be that as a form of self-defense, the human observer creates a new reality based on their own cultural loadings that actually becomes reality for a period?
Yeah.
I know that's a bit far-fetched. It's a bit far out, but we have to travel. We have to keep our mind open. I actually wrote about it a little while ago. I think I published it in 2 seconds. I'll just read this quickly. I mentioned the Bose-Einstein condensate a couple of years ago as a possible solution to interdimensional travel due to its cold nature, as well as being a product of the harmonics of microwaves. I described it as electromagnetic harmonic resonance, and it explained and removed problems of using plasma state and the necessary heat needed to enter other dimensions. That was a problem with the quasar vacuum, which I mentioned in some of my books. I previously used the concept of the quasar vacuum, but the Bose-Einstein, with modifications, solved the problems. Then he goes on to describe the Bose-Einstein condensate, and as usual, it's a physics explanation which nobody on Earth actually understands.
Do you?
No, but I understand the theory of it.
That's what I was going to say. For someone that says they aren't good, you were telling me before the show you're not good enough at the math to keep this sine wave thing going. You seem to know a lot.
Well, I have got an IQ of 205,
So it's
which
so if you
surprises people. When it was tested in 1990. Sorry, I was checking files.
Whoa.
I compartmentalize the knowledge away and retrieve. Otherwise, it's too much. And I got really pissed off because only one other person in Australia had actually gotten a better score than me. And me being me, I was remarkably annoyed that I had not beaten that score. I suppose I am a little competitive.
I was going to say, I mean, look, I quickly searched 205 here. It says this is an extremely high, profoundly gifted score.
How else do you write 150 books since 2012?
I mean,
In chronological order, with bibliographies, which are unknown in most books on strange phenomena. I want people to look at a knowledge chain that goes back to the sources, so they can argue with me or agree with me, but at least they know where to go. It's not just me talking out of my ass or some visionary dream I had whilst after I had a joint one afternoon. And incidentally, I haven't had a joint or a drink since 1983.
When did you write the first book?
Which book?
Ever. When
The enormous book. This book I started in 1973. I finished it in 2012. It's 1,700 pages, only available as an ebook because you can't publish a page, something like that. But I have done it in a reduced form in 4 volumes on Amazon. I can't remember the title of it because I come up with titles after I finish writing the book, and it takes 1 second of attention span to write a title.
I need to ask this or get into this origin story a little more though, because I'm like you said, not everybody is citing sources. Were you had you read other paranormal books and thought I can do this better? Was this just a topic you were always interested in and wanted to do a book? How did you even get into this?
When I was little, I'd been involved. I'd been run over by a car. I thought I was going to be a vegetable. I was hit by a Volkswagen when I was 1 1/4. The person who's supposed to be looking after me wasn't looking after me, and I got hit in the road. I was crippled. I couldn't talk. I couldn't make much coherent noise. I learnt to read. I was reading the Encyclopedia Britannica by the time I was 5 and questioning parts of it. And then I found out that Abyssimbel was going to be drowned by the High Aswan Dam. And I went and released the news to all my friends at kindergarten, and they weren't interested. I hadn't even heard of the High Aswan Dam or the Temple of Abyssimbel. I thought, you dumb, stupid little clots. How could you not know of these things? They're important. And I started realizing that maybe I don't quite live in the same planet that they do, or actually nowhere near it. And anyway, my brother, he was only mentioning it a few weeks ago, we started talking after not speaking for 50 years. I held grudges for a long time, and so does he. Serbian, Russian background, you've got to expect it.
All
And
right.
he said, I still remember you donging the piano when you were only 5, wailing about the Aswan Dam being flooded. And I was so thrilled when they raised it and the technology they used. So my first books I started getting were books on architecture and engineering. Then
Mm.
at the same time, I started getting books on archaeology. And then I started getting books on cosmology. This is 5, 6, 7. My parents would let me have anything. If it was a book, they didn't care. We weren't poor, but we weren't rich. We were just what we'd call in Australia a wog family that did well because they left Europe after the war.
Right.
And I was the same as a lot of other people whose parents left Europe after the war. We ended up being a hybrid of Europe and a hybrid of the country we arrived in or were born in. And that's a totally different, confusing kettle of fish. But basically, I was in my own little portion of Middle Europa.
All
And
right.
your background, you would know Middle Europa as well. You have to learn the piano. You have to learn to speak at least 3 languages. They will not be Serbian and Russian because they will be totally useless to you. You will learn English, French, and German. You will learn English and English culture better than the English. You will speak it better than the English. That's Middle Europa. So I started reading books by George Hunt Williamson. I
Mm-hmm.
started reading books by Harold Wilkins. I started reading books by Dennis Surratt. It was in French, so it was a little difficult, but I could get the gist of it after a while. I speak a few languages, or I like to say I speak fluent restaurants in a lot of languages.
All right. Okay.
And I read the Allende letters. I'm sure you've heard of them, or Allende letters
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yes.
by Hynek, basically concerning letters about the Philadelphia experiment. And this was when I was
Yes.
about 6. So I was buying all these books secondhand on you. I love books. Look behind me. There are another 2 walls that look exactly the same.
I was
And
going to
then
ask
they
if
head
those are
down the
your books
hallway.
or
And I've got
research, but they're not. Some are
no,
your
no,
books,
no.
and some
If
are.
you look at where my finger is pointed at the moment, there, and there
Yeah.
are my books, or
Oh
some of
wow.
them. I never bothered to publish all of them. The red covered one is a 7,000 page encyclopedia of strange phenomena, 1600 to 1999. I did that a couple of years ago. It took me, I think, 6 months. And I wrote 3 other books in the meantime because I get bored and write another book.
I think I would love coming to your house. It kind of looks like the perfect setup for me.
We're only in a, well, we're not we anymore, madam. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Madam died just before Christmas a year and a bit ago. And it's only me and my cat now, Miss Couscous.
I'm
In the
sorry,
villa,
George.
we sold our big house. I didn't know whether you knew or not.
I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure. Um, we
She's
we
gone.
don't we don't have to keep that in the episode. It's fine.
No, keep it as part of me being human.
I'm really sorry to hear that. I'm really sorry to hear that. I had no
But
idea.
anyway, she made me make one promise before she went. I recently finished, uh, mid this year, was it? Early last year? Mid to early last year. As usual, I spend 8 to 10 hours a day editing 7 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
Editing, collating, researching, putting it all together, chronologizing it, getting it ready so you can pick your state, you can pick your year, you can pick whatever you want. Enjoy,
Yeah.
enjoy, and easier to find. Knowledge isn't a hidden thing that academia keeps stuck behind the wall. Not in my viewpoint. I hate academia. I can't stand them. I'm not interested in becoming the leading expert in my field of whatever it is that I microcosm my field down to, which is how modern knowledge operates. I go outwards. I grab everything in my net and look at it. But I'm a firm non-believer in anthropogenically induced climate change. And I thought, well, I can't say I don't believe in it when I don't have anything to offer for it. So I thought, okay, I'll write a history of a history of the Earth in weather, volcanology, cosmic impacts. It ended up being 4,740 pages in chronological order, all with bibliographies from the best weather experts, geology experts. These are people who've published these books that the academics follow as writ. And I
Wow.
gathered their data together, and it's amazingly how scary we have been led to believe in a myth that people are profiting from in the green movement, the socialist movements, the extremely bizarre sides of the right wing movements, all for political gain,
Mm.
all for political and financial gain. I look at some of the people here. One of the great champions of climate change will destroy us. He actually predicted in the 1990s that Australia will become a desert, it will never rain again. It's been pissing down so much in the last few years, we've had major floods. He's still got a government job, for God's sake. And where does he live? In this world of rising sea levels. He has a house on the beach. Excuse me? I don't like elephants in my room. I either shoot the elephant after I find out why it's there, or I shoot the people who brought the elephant into the room,
Yeah.
which is a position a lot of most people disagree with me. But as I said, I don't care. My job is to preserve knowledge that could be lost. My job is to bring forward arguments that you may not have thought of. And it's up to you what you do with my summations.
Why are people mad at you? What? Okay, so people.
I don't belong to groups. I was only looking the other day at, I look at bibliographies of experts in my fields. And how often am I mentioned? And I've written more on all of these subjects than anyone else.
Yeah,
None.
that's a great point. I'm trying. Look, I want to get you out there. I know Omar has done his part to get you out there.
No,
Uh,
because a lot of groups, like especially in Australia, if you're not a member of the lesbian, basket weaving inner city suburb elite that divides poetry and literature prizes and art prizes amongst themselves as an industry, you will never get in, no matter what you do. And I can't enter the realms of academia because I haven't got tenure. I've published the texts. I've written books bigger than most people's master theses with the same level of research. That's why my books have bibliographies. That way you
Yeah.
can't argue with my arguments because they're already pre-published, approved arguments. I am summating them. I am bringing you them. I'll give you a perfect example of this. I know I tend to wander, but that's how my brain
No,
does.
well, that's why you're
I've got
here.
ADD, so it doesn't help, and a memory that's shot. You've all heard of Louis Leakey. He
Oh,
basically founded paleontology
okay.
with his excavations at Olduvai Gorge in Tanganyika. He found Lucy, one of our oldest
Yes.
ancestors. He found lots of other Paleolithic ancestors. He wrote the books on it. Leakey, the expert on African paleontology, world paleontology, until he visited the United States.
Oh no.
He found remains of eoliths. Eoliths are tiny, tiny, tiny little arrowheads and spearheads, exactly the same ones as the ones from Olduvai Gorge. He
Hmm.
found them at Calico on two other sites in Texas and California. And he announced it to the world. And of course, the American establishment, academia, said, "You're wrong, silly old fool, you don't know what you're talking about." Amazing. You can be an expert here and town clown here. I was looking at photos a few months ago of a wonderful dolmen sitting next to a fire station, New Salem, New York. A dolmen, lovely big rock on three little rocks. Yeah. In Europe, they're called dolmens, which is an archaeological structure built in pre-Iron Age and Iron Age times. You place a body underneath, bury it, or leave it. In North America, no. They are glacial erratics. And there are quite
Hmm.
a few in North America where a glacier, remember, a glacier is like a razor, apparently. It just cuts everything flat, like a great knife shearing itself across the tundra or the mountains or whatever. And yet, this great knife manages to move three little rocks and dumps a big rock on top of them. Excuse me? Physically, it seems to be a problem. But glacial erratics is an answer. And like recently, I mean, I've written, if one of my books is on archaeology, it's about that fat. What's it called? Strange archaeology, amazing archaeology, available on Amazon. Written for the
Yes.
layperson, not written for academics. Pickies as well. All in country by site, all in alphabetical order, chronological order at the same time. Yeah, I enjoy doing it like that. I find it simple. Most people find it incomprehensible, but I'm not like most people.
Yeah.
And I was going to say something. Yes, glacial erratics, things like that. Lately, there's been arguments about how long man has been in North America.
Yeah, Graham
And the
Hancock, right?
accepted thing is they're now reaching levels of 28,000 years. Excuse me? 28,000 years? We're not even pissing in a bucket here. Then some other people said, we found remains of mammoths that have been butchered by humans. 130,000 years. This is in the last year. And I thought, oh, amazing. And to think I wrote about it in 2014. I wrote about it in the late 70s. But in the 2014 editions of some of my books, I quote places like Hueyatlico in Puebla State, south of Mexico City, where excavations in the 40s and 50s brought up mammoths with spear points embedded in them from 250,000 years ago. Not my discoveries. Written up, archaeological discoveries. You know, articles in Nature on them. Everything. But we'll just
Is
we
this
don't
is
need
this
that one
a
out here.
quote unquote, is this a chip on your shoulder? Would you describe it
Oh,
that way?
a chip. I've got a glacial erratic on my shoulder.
Okay, look. So let me ask you
And I don't
this.
hide it.
Well, I was gonna. I mean, you come off. People with chips on their shoulders come off sometimes as big jerks. You certainly don't.
No, I'm basically a very shy person.
I guess what I would say is this, and not that I'm gonna run with this, but maybe I will. Um, uh, why hasn't somebody come forward, or could someone come forward? Would you be willing if someone were to come forward and challenge all of the paranormal field, the alternative history, alternative archaeology, and say, hey, look, here's George Mitrovich. He's written all these books. We have the proof. We have the dates he wrote them. Here's why he should be given credit. Could someone do that? Do you want someone to do that?
A good friend of mine in Baltimore has interviewed me a couple of times, and I love him as much as I love you. And you're from the same background, incidentally. It seems to run into it. Actually, I often wonder whether I'm the same background as well. You know, my mother and her family were from Odessa, and we all have a history of Odessa and the people who settled there. And my mother and her family were in Belsen and in Glogau during the war. So, Ancestry.com, American Time, part Ashkenazi. So maybe something is running around in there. But that's another story. That doesn't matter. He wrote a list a couple of years ago. He said, there are all these discoveries that are being made now on Vikings in central North America of the last cataclysm of 9 to 10,000 BC, of multiple, no, actually, no, they're still sticking to the one asteroid for killing the dinosaurs, where I've already published multiple asteroids. I published maps of 10 to 12,000 years ago during the last cataclysm, which is a great secret withheld from everyone, showing massive meteoric showers hitting the Earth that caused the extinction of the woolly mammoth. It promoted the reason for my original book I wrote in 1974, 73, called Goodbye Siberian Woolly Mammoth. I actually published it a couple of years ago, republished it a couple of weeks ago, because it's important. People know me for these books, as well as Bigfoot and my occasional 700-page books on UFOs, more than
Yes.
any other author. All in chronological order, of course, blah, 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 blah. And then he started listing these things, and he said, these people are claiming these discoveries as theirs. And you've published these discoveries before. Like there's another one last year. Woohoo, big news. We've discovered a trans-Plutonian planet in the Oort cloud. Oh, gee, wow. Okay, so you've discovered a trans-Plutonian planet outside the Oort cloud.
Oh no, he's
The
got it.
data from this is not limited to the Earth. A prominent physicist helped me with my research in the early 1990s. He went through my data for that graph. And I said, I have a simple question. Is this random? Which means it's all imagination. It's all mental illness. There is nothing to it. Or is there patterning to it? Well, we found patterning to that data on the size of extended sine waves that eventually led us to state there's a trans-Plutonian planet 515 astronomical units from the Earth in the Oort cloud. An astronomical unit is the distance from Earth to the Sun. And then the interesting thing started, that there was another sine wave similar to the sidereal orbit of Pluto, of Uranus, of Neptune, of Saturn. Very, very, very similar. And then by the time we got to Jupiter, it was just all static. Remember, this is in the early 1990s. The computer that I was using with him, well, this is probably smarter. This is smarter.
Wow.
And that graph, that map, was hand-drawn based on that data. If you could work out a way of mechanically drawing that so it shows itself in cycles, you'd be amazed. We even explained how one of the mysteries of Uranus and Neptune is that Neptune moves within Uranus's orbit and then heads out, because all orbits are elliptical. All planets in our solar system are gigantic electromagnetic machines producing electromagnetic fields.
Yes.
It's pinball. The multiverse is energy. It is pinball. That is pure energy. That is the mapping of energy. That is the only thing no one has claimed yet. They've claimed lots of other discoveries of mine without claiming them as mine. And I've even gone up some of them and written on Facebook. When they've published their thing, I've written, please refer to this book published by me in this date when I discovered it. Yeah, it pisses me off no end, but it's not going to stop me. I have a lot to do, and I don't know how long I've got to do it. You know, I just had a huge cancer operation a few months ago.
Right, right.
I had my prostate removed, and I'm not that comfortable at the moment. It was my 19th cancer. It's still there, so they've got to work out what's happening. So I have two choices: sit here and whinge and moan and weep and gather all my friends around me, both of them, to weep, or I can get on with what I meant to fucking do. Pardon to the American sensitive language. And I apologize if the swearing offended you as well, Greg. I have to continue on. I didn't get this thing to live a normal life. I do get excited, don't I?
I mean, look, oh my gosh. How can we help you?
How can you stop getting a headache thinking about what I discuss?
Well, it's
A lot of
funny
people can't handle
I mean,
what I
no, but
discuss.
well, first of all, this is a very. I mean, I do want to talk about the subject matter, obviously, but at this moment, I'm obviously human to human, George. I mean, I don't. Is this like a Kickstarter? Do we get a research committee together to get your work out there? I mean, I'm just trying to think of what the next step is, because I do think this work is remarkable.
Because I make nothing out of writing, and I'm not eligible for a pension. So I just sort of dawdle along. But I'm comfortable. I own the house outright. And whatever savings and old superannuation I've got, well, I've got that. It's allows me to continue and continue comfortably. I've worked too bloody hard to live uncomfortably. I've remembered living as a young person in my 20s, living on a blanket in an abandoned house, squatting, they called it then, very fashionable.
Right,
But I did it
right.
because I was poor. But I had my library with me because it went with me everywhere I went. Yes, I'd love that has never been claimed. And that is the most important discovery in history. How, because what I was going to say, and I'll do it with a simple analogy. This is the analogy I discovered when I was 7, 8, or 9. I was reading all these books on UFOs and monsters and Virgin Marys and all the sort of stuff you read about. Except my brain wasn't looking at it as entertainment. It was looking at patterns. And it looked at a hill. And these people on this side of the hill, they're seeing the Virgin Mary in a tree. She's wearing blue, which makes her a Marian Virgin Mary. And they're, oh, look, we're getting healed, man. Okay, and they're doing their thing on that hill. Other side of the hill, nearby, there are hunters. Hunters are wandering around, and next second, a monster or a Bigfoot appears. That's their reality. Virgin Mary is their reality. Meanwhile, at the hippie commune nearby, the disc has arrived, golden like the sun. The ramp comes out. The creature with long blonde hair, looking like a Nordic god, comes down. I bring you great news of the death of the world, and blah, 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 blah. And we've all read that book so many times before. There are so many totally incomplete prophecies from UFO contactees.
Yeah.
Once again, we get back to here.
You know, I'm gonna go on. Let's
No,
go.
I just want to continue with one
Okay,
thing.
okay, go ahead,
It's the
please.
emotion of that previous part, which is what is happening is this a junction of sine waves has hit this area. People are experiencing the power of creation. How random atomic structure can be manipulated into anything. It's frightening. So their brain, and there is a psychological name for it, their brain converts the reality of it into something they understand. So the Catholics are seeing the Virgin Mary, the hunters are seeing Bigfoot or some other monster or a lake monster, and the hippies are seeing Orthon from Venus, because their brain is being influenced by their cultural loading so they don't go mad. But imagine if you could use that energy for healing, if you could focus it. Why do you think, and I brought this up a few times, the ancients liked moving their pyramids and temples all the time? A lot of Central American ones like doing it every 56 years, which is the cycle of Venus.
They knew something. They
Because
must have.
they knew. And in Europe, all over the world, apart from possibly Antarctica, but not because we've excavated very well down there. There are cycles they knew. And the thing that is different is that these cycles constantly move. So you can sit in the chamber of the Great Pyramid for the next 20 years and nothing is going to happen. Nothing. Nada. Nisto. Nein. Because its time has passed. Okay, I'll let you continue.
Well, I mean, this is a really interesting topic. I mean, I was thinking if we're going to go back even further, do you believe there's a case to be made that phenomena of the Greek gods and just gods in general, the mythologies, could have manifested based on this theory in ancient times?
Yes and no. In some cases, yes, but what are just manifestations brought on by a perceived or a known reality that had already been created. I wrote a book in 1984, no, published in 1984, Atlan Revisited. It had all the legends of the gods in it and how all the different chronologies of the gods were the same in every culture on earth. You had a god of a golden age, a silver age, and an iron age. You had Uranus or Uranus, also called Varuna in India. Then he was superseded by Kronos or Saturn, who was superseded by Jupiter. These are dynasties of visitors. Are they coming via this? Because the concept, look, it's 4.6 light years to get to Alpha Centauri. That's a long bloody trip, and that's for light to travel here, let
Yeah.
alone us in a craft. And yet there are a myriad of reported craft who cause clear conjunctivitis to their observers, quite often, who cause genital disturbances, radiation, that cause lots of strange things that leave physical trace evidence. It can't be so many from so many cultures traveling at least 4.6 light years to Earth. When? Let's look at a Möbius strip. We know what a Möbius strip is. It's a figure 8. And we used to love running a written line along it because it's actually one-dimensional, because that line ends up on both sides, or because of the curve. And I thought, let's continue with the curve. Let's just go straight through the middle of it. No time, no space. Which means we can travel the multiverse. And there's our map of how to travel to the multiverse. One day it's going to be as easy as platform 42.5 at your local railway station.
Well, look, I know you're definitely friends with a lot of people that claim that they probably have traveled through space and time before, whether it's a government program or astrally. I mean, do you buy that at all? Does that relate to this, or do you think most of them are quacks?
I feel a lot of them believe that their reality is real.
I agree.
But, I won't even try and define what reality is. All this is different color combinations produced by different vibrating subatomic structures.
That's very true.
That's all it is.
So, for the record, when it's a when it's multiple people experiencing the phenomena, that's when this theory really is most applicable. It's not the one-off experience that you had as a kid, or does that relate at all?
Only in a micro part, because it's got no validation.
Mm,
If footprints had been found, if any had been looked for, it would start becoming validation. All my sources had to be multiply independent witnessed or group witnessed, or left trace evident phenomena. So a lot of things were left out. Millions of things were left out.
yeah.
It had to be things that oh, we didn't really want to talk about this at the moment. It's too hard. Look at the miracle of Fatima. October 14th, 1914, if I remember rightly, but remember, this thing is not as good as it used to be. I'm over 70, for God's sake. And I'm pretty good for 70, though.
For those listening, George is literally typing into the air what looks to be it's his mind, like he's searching through his mind by typing into the air and retrieving the file. It's fascinating to watch. Keep going.
Yeah. Sometimes they're not right, but I get a rough idea with it. It's just easier to grab the file. I've actually read of somebody writing about that phenomena. I can't remember who it was or where it was. And it was some scientific publication. It's a rare phenomena.
We got to get you more in these publications. What the heck? I'm upset about this too now.
Maybe you've got the contacts that can help me to do that. Okay, multiple. Fatima, Portugal.
Okay.
October 14th, I think. Every sighting was on the 14, incidentally, for over 6 months. 70,000 people are in a paddock. 3 little illiterate peasants, shepherdesses, and 1 shepherd boy led them there. Okay. Because they said the Virgin Mary, in blue, shows she's a Marian, came down and told them that things are going to happen. Okay. The miracle of Fatima wasn't. But the Virgin Mary was being seen by the 3 kids and the 3 kids only. And sometimes only by one of them. It was that when the 70,000 people were in the paddock, a great light came out of the heavens, hovered over them, and then took off. Excuse me? No, it is not bullshit. There's movie film that was made of it. There were photographs made of it showing the intense light, showing the definition of faces and shadows.
Can you see this anywhere? Have you seen it?
I've seen the photos of it a long time ago, but you can probably hunt them up on the internet.
I want to see the movie. Oh my gosh.
I think there are only stills left out of it. It was just newsreels.
Yeah.
Because it was such a big event. And then, of course, the children were arrested and thrown in jail again.
Yeah,
the local bishop organised it. There are a lot of people who don't want the entrenched oligarchies to be removed, such as the Green Movement, the religions. But I don't like elephants. Well, I like elephants, but I don't like elephants in my room.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Well, hey, look, when it comes to this kind of stuff, I mean, our president of the United States says he's going to be releasing everything that they have on UFOs. Now, I don't necessarily believe
both
that.
Files?
Both? Yeah, exactly. Do you think you think these people just don't even care? I mean, what do you think about the government researching UFOs? Is that ever actually really? Do you buy that?
Anything that's done by an official organisation always follows the paradigm of the academia and the political scientists and the people footing the bill.
Yes.
Because if they aren't footing the bill, they're not getting the research.
Do you, I mean, I kind of wonder about, and you can let me know throughout your research this, but people that say, and this is one of the criticisms right now of this whole Trump thing, they go, oh yeah, as if the government, they'll admit that they have advanced technology because what they're actually doing is covering up the technology that they've built themselves. If that's the case, I mean, do you think any of these sightings that people had historically were actually man made craft that people thought were ETs. What's your take?
In some cases, some of the craft that were reported from 1896, 1897, as the great airship flaps started moving from the west coast, especially California, to the Midwest and then south to Texas. And that is a repetitive wave so often with UFO sightings, or mass UFO sightings. But from the descriptions of the people who apparently saw these craft, they had a propeller on each end,
Hmm.
or three propellers. That thing won't fly. Neither of those things will fly. But let's throw another dog on the bonfire,
Yeah, okay.
or another elephant on the barbecue.
Great.
What if all these phenomena we are seeing, and we've seen them since time immemorial, big strange airships in the 1890s, rockets in the 1930s and 40s and mid 40s, actual UFO shapes from 47, 48 onwards, to our big delta wing beasts from the 90s, 1990s, 2000s, and then whatever they're seeing now, which I don't read about because I have to limit data at some level.
Okay, fair enough. Yes.
They always seem to be as if they're visualizations of expectations of technology. They are what people may not know is what they are expecting of technology as they look at the future. And
Right.
hello, there they are. One step ahead, always. One step ahead, one step ahead. Is it a cosmic mind constantly at work? And a human mind that is just seeing glimpses of what it thinks could happen
Hmm.
without thinking that they could think about it? They regard it as an overt thought form, which is the actual sighting. And remember, these sightings in 1896, 1897, there are photographs of them. We've got the famous McCann news dealership sighting over Chicago. Dear. 18, April 14th or 16th, 1897. We have numerous hundreds of newspaper clippings, and they all couldn't have been lying. People aren't that stupid. They'll accept a red herring every now and again, but they're not going to swallow a whale. Eventually, something has to come out of it.
Mm-hmm.
We keep opening up multitudes of channels of how to see visualizations. So what were the people in 1896, 1897 seeing and having conversations with? I mean, these sightings got bizarre. Buckets would come down from airships full of dollars so they could pay for eggs or water. Some said they were Canadian dollars, and this isn't Canada. Excuse me.
Uh, uh, uh.
But they continued being absurd in a lot of cases. A book was written years ago. I can't remember the author, but I like the concept of the title. It's called The Goblin Universe.
Oh, what's that?
There are a lot of tricksters around. And lots of research on UFO sightings comes back to the same myths and legends of the fae or fairy folk or goblins, of people falling asleep for 20 years and coming back. and everything's changed on Earth, and they haven't aged. Of going into the fairy realm and seeing abducted children being raised by the fairies. And the fairies can travel at night in blazing discs. Excuse me, it is the conception and the belief system evolving. So going back to the Greco-Roman gods, same thing.
Is there? I mean, I don't know if you're interested. I know this kind of gets into theology, but why do you think there is this kind of omniscient trickster consciousness?
To make us believe that there is one.
Whoa! Where did my brain just go? What? Tell me
Okay,
more. Tell me
let's
more.
go to the final chapter of this. Hello, it's that bloody graph again. Ah,
This graph is
I can't
amazing.
damage it because it's the only one left out of hundreds because I burnt the rest of them. I got the
What?
shits with the data because I couldn't do anything with it, so I destroyed it. And it had survived stuck in the book.
Please don't burn that one, or send it to me
No, I
before you
don't
do.
plan to. I want to set it up on the computer so I can really see it moving. I had seen it once before, but I couldn't get. It was the little card thing then, the 2-inch floppy. When Christopher Illett finally worked it out, we can actually see the lines moving across the face of the earth. He never gave it to me, which is annoying. And he's got a stroke now and he's basically not well. He could even be dead. I haven't spoken to him for many years now. And
Oh, okay.
where was I?
We were talking about the last one left and you burning all of the charge. Oh, yes, the final chapter. The final
The
chapter.
final chapter. Okay, we have a concept. Sine waves harmonizing together,
Yes.
loosening up. The more complex the sine wave, the looser subatomic particles become until they reach a point where they are detached completely from the nucleus. And then the nucleus starts breaking apart. The anti-magnetic field is gone. That is the instant when you can create matter and use that loose matter to travel between dimensions. What if? What if? And this isn't an essay in paranoia, it is just an essay. What if there are civilizations so advanced that they use this concept to travel through the multiverse so that they reform at their destination? And what better camouflage would you have than part of somebody's cultural loading?
Yes. Yes, you use this term, cultural loading. Tell us what that is.
Well, that's their religious beliefs, their social beliefs, their social structure. It's everything about them. It's what they do for a living. It's their culture, and it's how they have loaded it as an individual.
Hmm.
So this energy thing that we know is energy because it's giving people actinic grey burns on the face. It's affecting their bodies. It kills them in a lot of cases. I haven't done that book yet. I started it. I was doing it in memoriam for a friend of mine who was a contact who died last year. And he was a very prominent contactee, one of the most prominent, died suddenly. And I thought I already knew this pattern was there, but I never got around to writing a book on it. And, I can't hit myself all the time for not writing all the books I want to write because most people have never written one in a lifetime. So I've got to lower my expectations.
Yeah.
And imagine you've traveled the multiverse, you arrive on Earth, it's the 15th century, and somebody's in the middle of the road at 2 o'clock in the morning, which is unusual for them in that period. They're normally in bed by 6. before reaching old age at 25, but that's a different story. Their brain comprehends it. It must be an angel or a demon. Otherwise, the observer goes stark raving mad, psychologically. Are we being visited? Are we being possibly partially manipulated by sentient beings? Because then we'd have to discuss what is sentience.
Yeah.
One person's sentience might well be another person's disaster. I'm enjoying this conversation. I don't often get to talk about it anymore.
Well, I want to hear, I mean, I definitely want to hear what you have to say, especially since there's a lot of talk right now in the age of generative AI that either there already is a computer that is the spiritual entity, the dark spiritual soulless entity that is running society right now, and that's why everything's in the crapper. I don't know if you lend credence to the idea of machines ever having this kind of dark, soulless sentience, but it seems to be what a lot of the metaphysical people are pointing to as the enemy we're up against.
The enemy we are up against are the people who create these things, not
Right?
the machine. But we've gone past the stage of removing those who are creating it. We don't have a witch hunt anymore. We don't chase for wizards out of the village. I use my rotten computer 10 to 12 hours a day. I ask Google, you know, I just want to find something about a meteorite fall in 1939 in St. Louis, Missouri. Now AI is giving me what it believes is the answer. I don't want what Google is promoting as the answer through AI, because I know it's different to the answer in my research. So I have to keep changing my question structure all the time to get the validation of my research, which I eventually get because the question is too complex for the AI. The AI cannot cover all the parameters.
Yeah.
The AI can't think ahead. It could design ahead. The AI can't infer. I talk to Alexa every day. I love Alexa. She reminds me to take my insulin, reminds me to clean the cat tray at 5 p.m. every day, reminds me to buy Lotto on Sunday. Otherwise, I would forget because every day is the same day when you're living on your own. And you've got only look at cable TV when you do, and it doesn't tell you what day it is either.
Yeah. It is a tool. It is a tool, and it can be useful. I agree.
It can be amazingly useful.
But I
That's it.
also
We've got to train it to be useful.
right. Well, okay. So tell me that. I mean, look, I would fear what I would fear would happen is that your work would somehow be compromised if this were to happen. But here's what I would offer you. What if one of these LLM people, in a very secure way, took everything you've ever written and threw it into one of these large language models, really just made a large language model of your stuff, and then put the sine wave theory in there? Could it add anything substantive? Could it derive any patterns in a way that you think would help your research, or do you just think that's just a complete waste of time?
No, I've had people say they could try and design systems to do it, but they kept looking at 5-dimensional mathematics. And I told
Oh,
them 5-dimensional mathematics just makes it too complex. All you have to do is like this. This is two-dimensional. You just do a mechanized version of this in 2 dimensions. It's not difficult. You just plot these goddamn things on a big enough flow chart, and it will show you flow.
Yeah.
That's it. Nothing mysterious about it. It's just a big, complex flow chart. And that's when you would really see what's happening. Where are we? They get too involved in the procedures. Like, that's Persephone.
Hmm.
That's a 515-year cycle validated by mathematical equations. See the little sine wave down the bottom?
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
its
yeah.
family. And it's a 515-year cycle based on this data. It is not supposed to have any cycle. That
Hmm.
was for discovery. All of this entire library is nothing. It's all supposed to be imagination, psychosis. Once it starts having, which one is this one? Okay. Here's Neptune. They're getting smaller. Ah, Uranus. It just goes on and on and on and on and on.
See,
And
I'm
that's all
saying
I've
you
got left
throw
of it
all
for.
of this. I mean, MIT, send it all to MIT, one of their deepest
Yeah, but they
models.
probably wouldn't want to do anything with it.
Actually, you're
They
probably right. Mainstream academia would not be the place for this.
no, no. It would have to be something like its own bloody television show or whatever.
Yeah.
Where are we? Oh, there you are. But it's a challenge. Maybe your listeners might know of something. You are in New York after all.
Well, I mean, I was going to say in a time where psychedelic research is becoming all the norm. And I also think, George, I mean, not for nothing, there's that book, The Extended Mind. Consciousness is becoming mainstream in a way it's never been before. I feel like now might be your time more than ever.
It'd be lovely because I don't know how much time I've got left. And I'd like to see this being used.
I mean, I am praying it's many many more years, and especially with look, okay, let me ask you this: what do you think are the consequences potentially of people not doing this research into your work?
Ignorance.
Do you think
They
there's
will
any?
miss out on the discoveries.
Yeah,
They'll miss out on the ability to travel through the multiverse like that.
that's interesting.
They'll miss out on the opportunity to heal people like that. This is the basis of magic
Yes,
before we lost for technology. They kept building the things all the time, saying, it'll reactivate here. Come on, we'll build it here. And it sits there and does nothing. Nothing. Because its time and space has moved. Because all of the multiverse is a constant movement of sine waves. A whole lot of it. From the tiniest little ones that are infinitesimally small to ones that are infinity.
yeah.
Weaving inside each other. There is no beginning or end to the multiverse because there is no comprehension of a multiverse.
Yeah, I mean, I think there is a lot of. It's interesting that I was talking with somebody the other night about this. That the Marvel Hollywood machine keeps putting out multiverse content. There's a lot of multiverse content. It was an Oscar
Yeah, it's
winner a few years
preparing.
ago. Preparing.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Once again, it's picking up things in the future. It's not quite sure how to interpret them. Like we're coming back to our triple propellered airship.
Yeah. Is this a
See,
Sonora flying club you're speaking about? The fly that whole thing?
the 1897 sighting or 1896.
Yeah,
No, that
yeah.
was quite a few of them.
Okay, okay.
It was a common feature to see airships with giant propellers on them.
I know
Only
that's
thing a
so
giant
strange.
propeller would do to an airship is make it unstable. But it looks like it would work.
Yeah. I mean, didn't Duchamp draw a bunch of these things?
I mean, that was already in the 1920s, 1910s. There are people, I've got books in my library of people who they believe created airships in the 1870s, 1880s, 1890s, but they rarely left for ground. They were too heavy. And then you get phenomena like the airships in the sky and it's shining down a searchlight. Well, the first searchlight was invented in the siege of Paris in 1876, 77 in the Franco-Prussian War,
Hmm.
when Germany or Prussia at the time fought France, and they went upwards because they're big cumbersome things with enormous power reserves, weighing many, many tons. Which makes it a problem when you get reports of airships flying around with giant searchlights on them, because basically they couldn't lift for fuckers.
Interesting. And I was wrong, by the way. It's Charles Delshaw.
Yeah,
He,
the name rings a bell.
yeah. He had 12 notebooks about this secret society of aviators called the Sonora Aero Club. I've heard that is the basis of what people claim is these secret space programs. But I don't know.
It could be. I've got the books up there somewhere, but I haven't catalogued my library yet, which really annoys me because I don't know how to catalogue it.
Let me ask you this, where does magic, the occult, metaphysical practice fit into your theory at all? Does it, where does Aleister Crowley and George Mitrovic cross paths?
I would have been fascinated by Alistair because he's like a very good drug. You want more of it just to see the power in a man. But
Yeah.
was it a power in his own self belief, or was he able to do things?
And you rarely go like human phenomena. You're talking more about these anomalous incidents, UFOs and creatures and ghosts, apparitions.
Yeah, well, you've got to limit yourself somehow. I don't do ghosts and apparitions.
Oh, you don't?
No, I don't do ghosts and
No
apparitions or
hauntings, no
poltergeists.
hauntings.
No, I need things I got physical proof of or not.
Is there truth to? I've heard the idea of when the flying saucer leaves, there's this they leave behind the what do they call it? The spaghetti that just melts away, dissolves
Now, that's
away.
just angel hair.
Angel hair, yes. What is
And it's
that all
not that
about?
common. I don't know. A lot of people believe it's part of the transmogrification. It's a beautiful word of the
Yes.
craft as it enters its next dimension. A lot of times the craft just go, bye. There is no passage. There is gone.
Yeah.
Or a light turned on, a light turned off. Or is it just a hologram? Turn on, turn off. Project, do not project. Maybe our super deluxe creatures only send holograms down. But how does a hologram burn somebody's skin?
That is crazy. Whoa.
A hologram can't. It has to be a physical craft radiating a hell of a lot of radiation and heat. That's why most UFO sightings are of light.
Hmm.
Light, the explosion of matter. Because light is produced by friction and the increased speed of subatomic particles. There's no other way you can get it.
You've mentioned, I've had a lot of people come on that question the narrative, challenge the narrative that, oh, they're all benevolent beings. Right, right. Okay, but let me ask you this. Has there ever been a physical trace that was a positive thing that was left behind? Not a burning, maybe
There have
a
been some reports of people who were cured of cancer,
hmm.
who've had strange healings. The Virgin Mary ones are very popular for that sort
Oh,
of thing.
yes. Yes.
Whether it's the faith of the multitude or it's the thing in the cave or the tree. I don't like caves or trees. I've got no idea. But you look up every Marian, Virgin Mary, cave or tree. Okay, you figure it out. I'm not that bright. I can't work that one out. Maybe they
I
just like it.
I will never believe you're not that bright ever again. But
Even the Virgin Mary of Guadalupe in Mexico in 1632, I think. She's always standing in a tree.
hmm.
She's not a bird.
Okay. Okay. So look, do you feel like if a group of people went into an active portal with a deeply shared but entirely invented belief system, what do you think we would find?
It would start manifesting.
You believe it. Okay.
But it depends on. I'm trying to think of the analogy of it working in literature or working with words on paper in linear format should be a better term for it. You get that part of while you're writing a question,
Hmm.
it creates it results in a different field of answers. This is before AI got onto Google than you wanted or required, or by moving one word or one phrase in the wrong position. So how infallible a belief system has to be created that would actually give you the result when it's exposed to a transformative force. That is the result that you want. Because so many times you'll try and do things, you try and set something in motion, and it fucks up completely.
Hmm.
You've got to
Yes.
allow for that. And
Yes.
somewhere in the multiverse, there are lots of things that probably create mega fuck ups that we've never imagined. I like the line from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Universe, where the spaceship hovers above the Earth and gives them a specific time, or about to say, we're about to blow up your planet for an interstellar highway.
Yeah.
And everyone says, but you never told us. And they said, we've had a sign on Alpha Centauri for the last 10,000 years.
Uh, uh,
Now, you are a philosopher. You're a very deep thinker. You're a person that's used to philosophical analogies and discussion and thought. You know, it's not as if I've just pulled in somebody off the street and we'll discuss Descartes for half an hour.
right. Right.
Mind you, that might give me good insights. But you know what I mean?
Yeah. It also raises questions about the degree of power the mind has versus the energy portal versus, I mean, look, as you said, what reality could be, we don't even really know what it is. Um, I mean, I feel like if somebody studied your theory enough, they could go crazy.
A lot of people would. A lot of observers do. And
Right?
yet, I'll bring up another little thing. Once again, talking about elephants, little elephants. These are the elephants I like. Where are we?
He's indexing again. I love it.
Massachusetts, I think.
Okay.
1968. I can't remember the month. Was it September or October? Anyway, it's in a lot of my books. And it's just an inconsequential little note. UFO seen coming out of sky. It's not landing though. Well, it's not quite sure what it's doing. It just suddenly appeared there. Next second, it goes straight through a billboard and takes off again. It didn't have an L plate on it, or not one we could see. We have to allow for all conditions of sentient life in the multiverse, including idiot teenagers driving through billboards when they didn't expect it. And so many times you see Bigfoot sightings and a Bigfoot looks at you and you look at it and you're both thinking, who the fuck are you? What are you doing here? Collisions between realities. When you're charging out of the sky in your craft, out of the multiverse, and you're about to hit a building, and you have to suddenly go, oh shit, and up. And sometimes it doesn't work. This is sentient living. It's not perfect. It's not
Yeah.
Orthon from Venus. It's not the Greys, who are basically mechanized robots or biological robots. We have to allow for chaos. As I said, no matter how well we plan it, there'll be something that'll just fuck everything up.
Yeah.
And that's one of the most important things we need to learn. I liken it to the analogy of they built all these wonderful new trains a few years ago in Sydney, fully air conditioned, wonderful. You try sitting in a fully air conditioned train in 50 to 60 degree heat in Sydney, in Australia, where it is rotten air conditioning isn't working and you can't open the doors and you can't open the windows. Because nobody thought of an option for what they thought was infallibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that is an interesting. Well, one of the things that I think is quite compelling here is that you're saying, in a way, this is an argument against this omniscient alien theory that sometimes comes up in
Yeah,
the
there's
community.
aliens who would like to be omniscient.
Right, right. But there's still a higher, as you put it earlier, goblin intelligence that's even affecting them.
Yes, because it affects everyone. All of us have met it. It's all to do with how well can we plan.
Yeah. Okay. A lot of people, I mean, I really want to believe in the Philadelphia experiment. What is your
And it was a
conclusion?
disaster.
Okay. Sorry. Yeah. Was it? What
People
have you found
died,
on it?
ship was teleported. They basically all that was written. It was a disaster. They teleported it, but it's not recommended as the way to travel.
Because I have heard the thing with that, the problem, the criticism of that, and you would know because you've done the research, is that all it is a series of letters that someone wrote someone once, and there's nothing else to prove any of it happened. True or false?
No, because it's been hidden. We'll never know. We would have to look at what phenomena apparently occurred in this same area when a teleportation arrived or left.
Right, right. So you're going
Like
off of
with a lot of my
that.
research, I'll go and find what happened in the area on the day. And sometimes it's quite interesting.
Hmm.
Sorry, I shouldn't have disturbed you.
No. I guess I meant, I just wanted to know if you had encountered any other substantive evidence about that particular project.
No.
Okay. Well, that aligns with everything I know about it. I would love there to be more. I mean, people talk about the Montauk Project.
Yeah,
Um, I think there's a bit
and
more there.
Hangar 51 or Area 51
Oh yeah,
and the Great Failed Invasion. And lots and lots and lots of them. I've got reports in some of my books of President Truman being shown in Ohio, a mysterious craft, and things like that. And I publish them. So this is what is reported.
I see.
I don't say this is real. I say this is what has been reported.
Oh,
Because it may be, and it might not be.
is there anything
But
in, that
you
is
can
real?
look at themes and variations, and then you
Mm,
start thinking, how common are any themes to any of these particular sightings?
right.
Like, ultimately, with my research, I just found basically massive explosion of energy occurs, producing a bright light. The rest is up to the observer, apparently.
So even with all these sightings and newspaper articles, you are not claiming any of it is real.
I'm not claiming anything if it is real or unreal. And that goes right down to the Loch Ness Monster. I am recording observations and interactions that leave physical trace evidence or are multiply independently listed. That was a total garble, but you know what I mean.
Yes.
Because I have to be careful what my data is. It has to be almost infallible, hopefully. So we look at the common themes. Like as I write, and that is, I write about time and space, where it occurred, the time and date it occurred. I don't mention the phenomenon at all in my graphs.
Hmm.
But this non-mentioned phenomenon or group of phenomena have created these sine waves, and that's where it gets interesting. Not
Is
just one lot producing one type of sine wave and another lot producing their type of sine wave. It's
yeah.
all of them, all of the above.
That is so intriguing.
But it could only be accomplished by converting the surface of the Earth relative to time into a two-dimensional plane with no description of what is actually seen. I don't know how big my screen will be when you finally play the video, but you'll see
Yeah, it's
straight lines. That one there is the 1896, 1897 airship affair over North America.
there is I just need to know what is the next step that would help you the most. Is there
Have
anything we can do?
somebody to do a flowchart for me that I can just go onto it and play with data in a way
Okay.
that a 70-year-old that has.
Well, if anybody out there, I mean, I'm certainly will take a shot with these AI tools. But if anybody out there wants to reach out about this, please do. I know that George, you can be found on Facebook. We're going to put your link there. You're very friendly. You'll always I'm pretty sure if somebody has interest in this conversation, um, you'll talk to them, right?
Generally, yes, unless they're a complete ratbag, then I'm not interested.
So don't be that. But yes, George is on Facebook. So we're gonna put his link there, and also you can get his all of his books connected to his website as well as on Amazon. You got to check out all the books. Um,
And 60 of
where
them are
else?
on Audible.
Yes, that's right. And if you want to listen to these phenomena,
God help
um,
you.
I mean, my gosh, the history of strange phenomena, 1800 to 1900. Holy moly! How long did it take you to get that book out?
Oh, that was a little one. That's only a bubby. The History of Strange Phenomena, which is 1800 to 1999, is 7,000 pages and 22 volumes. It took me nearly 6 months. And then I'm averaging a book every 3 to 4 days at the moment.
What is that? Is that how long does it take? How much of your day is that?
8 to 10 hours, 7 days
Whew.
a week.
Is it like you're channeling something? Does it just go through
No,
you?
it has to be done, and it bores me shitless at times. So then I go off and do something else for a while, or I write another book.
Because I'm just wondering in general with all this research.
Editing is tedious. This is just, I basically now got it to the point where I got it to the point around Christmas of all of these 3,000 pages that are complete. They're sitting there in order, in state by state, province by province order, with order data in chronological order. But it
Yeah.
just needs tidying. So it takes a few days to tidy them and then publish them.
Is it that you I mean I'm just wondering about your inputs to outputs. What are the inputs of research that you do? Where do you store them? And then does the input immediately go into the book or do you gather the information first and then do the book later? I mean, or is it all just in your
Always
head?
gather first, unless you get a really good source while you're in the middle of the book. But remember, you still have to have the bibliography in there.
Yes.
In my books, you have a bibliography.
I mean, I can't
And
even imagine what that would take for somebody else to do this topic. It would be months, years to gather all this
yeah, I know.
info.
I've got the time.
How quickly can you gather all the information from 1800 to 1900 on Bigfoot sightings?
I'll probably get it done by this afternoon.
Do you have all the info there because of these
Yeah,
data?
I've
You
got all
mentioned
the info
databases.
there. Yeah, I've got it all there. I've written more on Bigfoot than any other author. I've written thousands of pages on Bigfoot, and yet we're sort of. I've tried to make contact with people, including in Australia, but it's sort of. Yeah,
Well, I mean, I feel that
which really
you,
pisses me off. But I like to share data with people. That's why I
yeah.
write books. That my books are going to be in a thrift shop in 100 years after the computers have gone, and people still look at this knowledge that would have been lost.
Well, I am dedicated. I want to figure out. Probably said this to you last time too, but yeah, I mean, I would love to figure out ways of continuing. I will continue, and you know what? I will say I did. I have started. I don't think anybody took you up on it, and I'm upset that they didn't. But I want to reach out to people who have mentioned things previously related to your work and put them in contact with you. And when people in the future come on my show and they mention anything similar or related to this, I'm going to do my duty to get them in touch because this at work I do believe is important.
I do. Otherwise, I wouldn't have done it.
And I mention it all the time. I
No,
try.
you've always been a great support, Greg.
Well, I'm trying, George. I'm trying. I want you out there, man, because I don't like the idea that, what do we? Why do we want Graham Hancock to be the one that people remember for
Yeah, I
this
know.
stuff?
And he writes stuff, and I just write underneath it. I published this in 2012 or 1979.
Oh man,
A lot of them, 1979.
if we called this episode "The Real Graham Hancock," Would that get people upset?
Probably Graham Hancock. His wife's nice. But he's a
uh,
journalist. He's trying to milk everything for what he can.
because I kind of feel
But
like you are. You're the OG. You're the original. You're the guy
I
who.
know Jeff says that.
Which
Jeff
Jeff?
from Baltimore.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I gotta. You know what? Maybe I gotta talk
I
to
love him.
him.
He's a like you. He's a very good interviewer, a very intelligent man.
I gotta talk to Jeff. Maybe we can figure out a project or a way. Maybe two
You
minds
know the
together
Jeff
can.
I mean?
I don't know.
Oh, why have I forgotten Jeff's bloody name all of a sudden? One
Do I know
moment,
this Jeff?
please.
I don't know a Jeff in this paranormal
How did
sphere.
I forget Jeff's name? Let's go up to here.
Yes, I will proudly promote anybody else that is
Jeff
promote.
Lippman.
Oh, I do. Wow. Well, there's someone new I need to talk to.
Lappman. He's a lawyer in Baltimore. He's a brilliant interviewer. He's tough. He's very, very hard. I love his interviews.
Oh,
He
that.
comes up with questions that make my hair spin. As you can see, it's gone.
Oh my
And I don't
gosh.
mind. I hope you don't mind me mentioning his name on your program
No, hey, look, I would love to talk to him. Um, very interesting. Okay, okay.
because he's often wondered, aren't I known? It's as if something is getting in the road and I don't know what it is. And it pisses me off immensely because I do all of his work and then people come along later with, look at my discovery and they're getting worldwide coverage. And it's sort of, what the fuck's going on here? He's the one who wrote the list.
Yeah.
And there was more on the list. I can't remember. My memory's not as good as it used to be. It used to be eidetic.
Oh man, I'm still very impressed. Okay.
Now, if it wasn't for Alexa, I wouldn't know what day it was. But then again, I don't really care.
Well, before we go, I do want to ask you about one phenomenon that I see listed on one of your books that I've never heard about. Um, what are alien big cats?
Alien big cats?
Yeah, it sounds kind of fun.
God, which book's that one?
Maybe did I misread? It's I think it's Gateway to the Gods. What's fun about this title, or I'm looking at the cover on your website, you list a bunch of different physical trace phenomena, I think, is what you've done.
Yeah.
Looks like a word cloud.
Yeah. Alien big cats?
Yeah, is
They're
that
cats that aren't meant to exist in a particular area. Like in Australia, big cats, are not native to Australia. But we keep getting a strong belief system in the giant black cat. Of black panthers. Same in North America. Melanism isn't supposed to exist in North America. But always reports of very big, vicious black cats wandering around. In England, they were different. They were large brown things, not a Surrey puma in the 1960s. But the funny thing is, they appear for a group and then they're gone. Like I've often mentioned that Bigfoot's probably migratory.
hmm.
And that Bigfoot, some reports could be that Bigfoot changes its colour to white in winter.
Oh, that makes
Jackrabbits
sense.
do it. Foxes do it. Why
Wait a
not?
minute. There's some other interesting. Who is spontaneously human combusting? There are reports of that.
Only a few. A lot of problems with books, and I count data points inside a book. You'll have the book on amazing Bigfoot of such and such a county or whatever, or state. Yeah, okay. And you count it by the page. You go past the theories. You go past 4,000 legends, which I don't include. I'll leave them for the people who write about legends. Then you might find a few sightings in there. My God, a
Yeah.
dozen or two. Excuse me? Then everyone copies that book and its database.
That is definitely a problem in the field for sure.
Whereas with me is I go through all of them like a big sucker fish. And I remember them and I recognize them and here we go. Like I average 6 to 10 items of data per page. I don't write in a flowery pattern. You don't find me as we've last ascended the heights of Tiwanaku and we look down on
Yes.
the great sacred valley of Vilcabamba. I still remember having that stuffed guinea pig 47 years ago in an expedition to Vilcariba.
Oh my
And it goes
gosh.
on and on and on and on. Oh, by the way, there's a ruin. And it goes on and on and on. Excuse me? I don't write like that. But
Yeah.
people seem to like them, my books. Some don't.
Yeah.
I got some idiot in the States recently I saw on Google had mentioned he didn't like my books. I don't know if you ever read them, but
I have gone through a few on the Kindle. And I wish there was more sometimes.
they're all on Kindle.
Oh, well,
Every single one of my
you know what
150
you know what
plus
I
books
mean?
are on Kindle.
You know what it is? Maybe they're not all available on Kindle Unlimited. Oh, this just shows how cheap I am.
Yeah, that's
Um,
right. Most of my sales are people reading the books. I rarely sell a book.
oh, interesting.
But most of, you don't make a fortune writing books. If I wanted to make a fortune, I'd write books about wars and drug runners and romance like Barbara Cartland, who wrote 360 books but was already independently wealthy anyway, bitch.
Uh, okay, look. 1977. Has anybody gone beyond 1977? Is that important to this work?
That's when I started the graph work. I actually
Right.
started it before then. I extended it from 1973 to 1977, and that way I have a database from 1800 to 1977. That was enough to get a test to see if there was anything there. Because the first 100 years of it, all the normal explanations of it's only an aeroplane. Well, sorry, there weren't any, so we can't use that as an explanation.
Yeah.
It was a century where there were no explanations for the same phenomenon that were appearing then.
That is super, super
So that's
compelling.
why I chose 177 years. Because the original theory was I'll then do 177 to 99 eventually and see if it ties in for patterns from 1800 to 1977.
Oh, that makes sense. That makes a
So
ton of
that book
sense.
would be the validation, but I've never written it. But I got all the data for it. I could write a book on North America, which is my main market, so that's the one I focus on. I even changed my spelling for North America.
Oh, I'm
That's
glad
why
we're
my
doing
voice
something
is
good.
that's why my voice is North American East Coast educated. Because
Oh,
AI can do it a lot faster than I can. I tried doing podcasts, but my throat ripped out after 1 hour.
oh man. Well, I am all right. What are the next 5 books you're gonna write? Do you know already?
I've still got the next 20 in this series on North American monsters.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, all the
I
states.
want to finish them in a few months. By
And
then,
you have all the
you're going to
research.
find somebody to help me with my research on the sine waves.
Oh, I am absolutely going to. Um,
What if I should ask AI? But who do I ask? Do I ask Grok and watch it disappear into the maw of one of the most rapacious capitalists on earth?
oh, yeah, I agree. I agree.
But
Hey,
mind you, the other
why
one's a rapacious capitalist as well.
but I gotta ask you this. Why you mentioned this, why are the gray aliens just machines? Why are they robots?
They show no independent thought processes and reaction processes.
Oh,
They're
interesting.
always with a taller one of another kind.
And that's confirmed in people's sightings of them.
Yeah, in all of it. So I go for the patterns of the sightings.
That's so
It's all pattern
interesting.
recognition.
Oh man, I mean, I could just throw so many things at you. Okay, one more before we go. Friendly Venusians, that people from.
Orphan from Venus, he's been reported a few times over the years in his blue robes. They're called Nordics. Some people have written books on the different cultures of
Yeah,
different
different
alien
species of
groups. Yeah,
aliens.
blah, 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 blah. It's like writing the Encyclopedia of Fairy Folk, which I think was written in 1663 in London. I can't remember the author, and different groups and different denizens and where they lived and goblins and God knows what else. The mythology continues.
Do you think there is a hidden resource of books, maybe in the Vatican Library or some data source that's been hidden that has even
No,
more things that could help you? You got all you need?
no, there'll always be more. There'll always
Oh
be
yes.
research. The last big library that was found was at Dunhuang in China. Steiner went there and bought thousands and thousands of Buddhist scrolls in the early 19th century because no one else was interested. Half
Mm,
the Dead Sea Scrolls were burnt after they were discovered.
that's
A whole
terrible.
pile of Egyptian Coptic scrolls were all burnt because the first people to find them were illiterate peasants. Oh, well, we can burn this. Until somebody decided, hey, we might be able to sell this. By that stage, Nan is still burning it.
George, please don't burn the sine wave map. Please don't burn it.
No,
Please.
it's rather precious now. Yeah, I miss them. But I just reached a point with this research that I couldn't go any further with it. And
Don't
it was,
burn the map. Oh my gosh. It's so interesting.
all it is a flowchart.
And you can see it on your website, which we can link to. I think I linked the last time you were on the show. I linked it as well. I had a link to your old website that had the map on it. So I would like people to see
I
this.
think the map's on the old website. It's been years since I last looked at it. In fact, I don't even know how to get into it now.
Yeah, it's there. It's there. This is.
Yeah,
I
but I
mean,
don't know
right
how
now,
I
I
can get
feel
into it.
I don't want to give your work away, but there is a part of me that wants to feed this to an AI and go, "Hey, make sense of this." Um, but I will let you lead that research, my friend.
Doesn't worry me.
Actually, anybody could do it. So you know what? Maybe I'll just try to do it first. All right. By the time you're listening to this, I will have already
But
figured it out. So
don't give
be.
a stallion to people who normally only walk in front of donkeys.
Okay, you know what? Then that part about giving people the link to the website, it's gone.
No,
Um,
leave it there. But explain to them, I don't even edit that thing.
yeah.
Your whatever that name of it was.
Also, as I clicked it, for some reason, Google went 404 error, not found on the
Uh,
server, can't find the link. So I wonder if there's some nefarious stuff going on right now.
yeah, well, I wonder about that at times.
Yeah, that is weird. I was able to go earlier, and now I can't see it. Huh. Huh.
Oh,
All right.
little
Very.
quote before you go, Greg.
Yes,
When
yes.
searching surnames and first names, always lock them inside inverted commas.
What do you mean?
Well, you write George Mitrovic in the taskbar. You put an inverted comma at the beginning, inverted comma at the end, and it will only search for George Mitrovic. Otherwise, you end
Oh,
up with
yes.
every George on Earth and every Mitrovic on Earth. And then, when you get more advanced with it, you put an outlier next to it, like books or research, and then it will only search for George Mitrovic's books or George Mitrovic's research or whatever. It saves
Oh.
time. It isolates your search.
Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
Yeah. Most people don't know it. It's a very simple thing.
Yes, Boolean search logic. That's good. It's good stuff. This has been such good stuff. Oh my gosh, yeah, I'm gonna have to take time
I'm
to
loving it.
process. I mean, I'm gonna have to process this again.
You're going to
Uh,
get a migraine trying to process again.
or process it the first time. I'm gonna try to do. Yes, George Mitrovich. Everybody, check him out on Facebook. Buy the books. Support the work. We're gonna try to get this. We're gonna figure this out together. Anybody in the audience, you can reach out to me. You've got my contact information, George. I'm really grateful you came on again, my friend. Thank you for being so open, vulnerable, and willing to talk about all areas of your life and research. I really always appreciate when I get to talk with you.
I will always try and help everybody who tries to help me, because I appreciate it, because it's rare.
Well, it's great talking with you. I hope to speak again soon.
Thank you, Greg, and all the best for you and your loved ones.
Thank you. George Mitrovich. When we hopped onto the Zoom call, George looked at me. I have a bit of a beard right now, and he goes, Greg? Oh, looking like Charles Manson these days, huh? I love him. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I want to thank Ronnie McGilvery for the theme music. I want to thank Zero Boy for the pre-theme music. We're under 3 hours. We didn't quite hit that David Wilcock level. Well, rest in peace, David. Thanks so much for listening to the show. If you like it, follow, rate the show, leave a review. I'd be so, so grateful. Thank you for listening. Talk soon.